Hey, Connect.Tech, and welcome to Adventures in an AI with JavaScript. Bam! I appreciate you coming to my talk, especially with the people who I'm up against for this slot. Look at that, we've got three amazing competitors and one terrible one. That's awesome. Out of all that, you chose me. I appreciate it. And just know that it means a lot to me that you came to my talk. And I really miss being there in person at Connect.Tech. So uh, do me a favor. If you're enjoying this talk, if you're just interested in hearing more, reach out to me on Twitter and actually interact as much as possible because this is one of my favorite conferences to go every year, and now instead, I'm in this room all alone staring at a camera. So let's make it more human. Reach out to me on Twitter. It's at Gant Laborde. And I promise you this talk will be interesting, wild. We'll have code, we'll have ideas, we'll have experiments. But this is your adventure in machine learning and AI with JavaScript. Oh, alrighty, let's get started. Let's do some adventures in AI and JavaScript. So, who am I? Well, I am Gant Laborde, and if you don't know who I am the CIO of a wonderful company called Infinite Red, and they get to send me to really cool conferences and help me achieve my dream of becoming a mad scientist. Additionally, I am into JavaScript all the time. I get to actually contribute back to React Native. So I am a React Native core contributor, which is one of the cool things that I get to do. And so if you're not familiar with React Native, it says, hey, let's go ahead and build mobile apps in iOS, Android, Mac, and Windows all in JavaScript through a single sort of platform independent sort of style there. And I think that that's part of what kind of draws me to React Native. It's also the same thing that draws me to AI. More on that later. And then also, I am a Google developer expert in web and machine learning. So you can be a Google developer expert in quite a few different categories. But I think that this combo of web and machine learning puts me in a perfect position to talk about why we're going to do some AI in JavaScript. And I want you to right now go follow me on Twitter. I give stuff away all the time. I talk about cool stuff all the time. I love interacting with people. And like I asked earlier, please follow me on Twitter. I will be giving away something as of this talk. So if you like free stuff, that's another incentive for you to go ahead and connect with me because I like to give stuff away, and I will be giving something away today. And you've probably seen me before, but more so like this because I actually have a bunch of really cool animation characters that a friend of mine in Japan drew for me. So I have lots of really cool stickers. If you're interested in getting a really crazy Gantt sticker, I will get it to you. So let me know. If we were at Connect.Tech right now, I would be handing people silly stickers like this. But as for now, we'll just have to wait and you can go ahead and get them through the mail. Let's get on to the next part here, which is what we're talking about with AI. Now, if you are afraid of the term AI, I totally understand. It's totally okay. I was afraid of AI. I tried learning it a few times, especially with like minimax algorithms and games. But I love the idea that I could play Street Fighter 2 or whatever, and then have this computer actually play against me, and I wanted to figure that out, but I just couldn't stand all the if then statements and all that necessary craziness. And a lot of the AI theory was really stubborn and complex. But a lot of that's changed. And you might be here at this talk because you've seen it changing around you. You could pull out your phone and do cool stuff with your face and your images and have it finish your sentences or maybe even write some cool stuff for you. And that's been majoritatively due to neural networks. So neural networks have been something that's been around since, I want to say 1950s. And the idea has been pretty simple of emulating the idea of neurons in the brain in a computer. However, computers used to take up entire rooms. They used to take up a lot of space. They were single purpose machines. There was no even close idea of having a lot of data for them. So they were slow, they were clunky, and they didn't work until recently, in which case now we can see a lot of machine learning actually being involved in cool technologies because we have GPUs, we have TPUs, we have really cool machines, and we have tons and tons of data to train them with. So I think that that's really exciting. One thing I like to do whenever I'm talking about machine learning, especially in JavaScript, is when it's a live presentation and it's virtual, I like to go see my audience. And so, because this is recorded, we can't do this right now, but I'm going to do what I can. Well, let's see what we can do real quick. This is adventures in machine learning, right? So I built this website called enjoyingthe.show, which lets me know whether or not people are actually enjoying my talk. So let's try this right now. So I'm going to go to, let's pull this up right now, enjoying the show. And since this isn't live, this is going to be fun because I'm basically going to see whether I'm enjoying giving a talk. So what we could do here is we'll create a room, and I'm going to watch a room called Connect for Connect.Tech, right? And I guess we could play along with this while you're watching if people want to try this as well. So I am now watching a room called Connect.Tech, and you can see that there's nobody currently in that room right now. So what I'll do is I will just squeeze this over a little bit, kind of bring this up, and then I'm going to create a new one. We'll go to same thing. We'll go to enjoy. Oh, please don't connect to that tab. Enjoying the show, and then we'll go to connect over here. And now I'm in a totally different. Oh, you can see that it's identified over here that we have some. Oh yeah. Well, this isn't going to work because I'm currently using my camera. So let me see about turning the camera off for a moment here. Okay, let's see if we fix this problem real quick. I trying to use my camera while I'm actually doing all this at the same time. It's a little wild. So let's see. Do I get access to my camera? Aha. Hello. And so, as you can see now, we could have a bunch of people inside the room and they could all be smiling, and this is what they would see. And then all that information is actually not getting sent. It's not sending my face anywhere. It's sending my facial expression. So sitting here on the browser, it's trying to figure out whether I'm happy or not. So let me just, this is normal Gant. And then you can see that it sent off that I am neutral. And then I could be, surprised. So this is a really cool demo when we have a bunch of people in a room together. Feel free to try this out right now. I guess like if there's anybody else watching this at the same time, we'll be in the Connect room. That'd be really entertaining. But you could actually just get and do this by yourself. And this is like where I think things are pretty entertaining because here we are in this virtual world using AI to do cool and crazy things. So, if you want some videos on exactly how to do this and some more presentations of it, I have that I can send to you on Twitter. Of course, some faces it really has some trouble with, and that's to be fair. So, after that fun adventure, that's kind of motivational, but why machine learning? Why are we JavaScript developers looking to do machine learning? And the cool thing is that not only are we doing cool things that we've never done before, but now we can do things based off of amazing data that we normally wouldn't use. So we can actually use data to train this information. For instance, if I were to write Grammarly, I would write Grammarly in English, and then I would never be able to actually do it anywhere else. But cool thing about this is if I wrote Grammarly by giving it 10,000 English books, I could then give it 10,000 Spanish books, and it would be able to do it in that language, and then 10,000, books with Cyrillic and cool stuff like that. the data is what's training the algorithms, and that gives us some insane amounts of power. And I think that's part of why you're starting to see major companies start to invest in this kind of technology substantially, because, of course, Google's very interested in doing this. They've been implementing machine learning TensorFlow models in production like crazy. So, what kind of things can we do with this? You could do deep fakes, which I had my friend do
Hello,
here. That's
Amazon.
Frank, if you've met him before. We could try on like hairstyles without actually trying on different hairstyles. We could have our hair colored and then press the purchase button and then get the hair dye that will do that color. We as a company, we had to actually add makeup to a webcam for a website, and here's Leon working on that deep into the night, so that way people could actually purchase makeup. And this came with his pull requests. He would send gifts like this, so it's pretty entertaining. Some of you are using it to cut out noise in the background or actually create noise in the background, like music. You can play Pictionary with AI. You can use it to recolor old photos. And last, of course, you can point it out the window so that way it can tell you when that parking space is finally available. These are really neat features that we can do with AI. And if you're interested in the different things that we can do with that, I have an online course that's 100% free, and that online course will give you the ability to check all these cool things out. And it's at academy.infinite.red. So if we go, actually, you know what? Whatever. Let's go look at it together. Let's make sure it looks cool. Academy.infinite.red. And then, oh, yeah, that's really nice. And here's the free 5-day course. So if you take this, you get a little certificate, all kinds of fun stuff. It takes about 15 minutes for I would say 15 minutes a day for 5 days. And then you get this cool little setup. So that's a really fun kind of thing. And I know people are enjoying it. And of course, you say, well, Gant, I mean, how do you know people are enjoying it? And the answer is I asked AI. TensorFlow.js, which is the website implementation I've been like using quite often in this demo, is has a sentiment analysis for text, not just faces. And so the cool thing that I got to do here is that I got to actually make the system look at all the comments that people had put in there and then judge it from 0 to 1 how positive those comments are. So, yes, I do know a lot of people are really enjoying the course. But I do read these as well, so don't think that it's very inhuman. If you leave a comment, I would love to read it. So please take that course and leave some positive comments along the way. This is a great, cool thing for your CV or your LinkedIn profile or just some Twitter fodder if you want to kind of say, hey, knocked out another course or whatever it is you might actually like. So let's jump in for a second here and talk a little bit about what AI should do. AI could do a lot of things. It can take people's jobs, but it can also make our lives easier. And I think we can always raise the quality of life. This is volunteer labor. If you look at all those building footprints before, after, thank you very much, AI. And that was done by Microsoft. They made it open source. It can take care of all the menial jobs we don't want to do, like inventory work. And then, of course, it can save our lives better than doctors in quite a few cases, and identifying disease way earlier. It's no shortage of hearing that AI is outperforming people in all kinds of new and exciting ways, and we can use that to increase the quality of life for everybody. So, properly motivated. We know that we're building cool and crazy stuff. It can do all kinds of new things. People haven't even come up with the ideas that this should actually do. So, what the hell is going on with all this AI stuff? Well, it's not that complicated, and that's the cool part about it. Is it's a lot simpler than we had previously had to deal with. As a matter of fact, we're probably dealing with a problem of people throwing AI at every problem, not actually understanding the solutions. So, oftentimes you'll hear that there's this thing called a model, and a model has layers, much like ogres. And what we get to do here is that a model is just a function. So it gets data in, and then like their faces earlier from um, enjoying the show, and then we get some data out, like how old we think you are, or what kind of how you are happy, or how many people are wearing glasses. It could do all kinds of different cool stuff. It's just a function that identifies input and processes it and does output. But it just does it in a very mathematical and cool way. And balancing these equations is what's called training. So you actually have these models, and then we figure out these values in between. And it looks really alien to us because we're having to do all kinds of interesting processes to grab that information out or densely connect it to a neural network like a brain. So it can look a little confusing, but we can explain it with more time than 30 minutes. But if you're ever interested in chatting a lot more about how these things work, I'd be happy to do that. Let's talk for a moment about where you would get these AI. So, where would we get these? Well, just the same way you would actually get the AI, or you would get any code for this matter. It's the same three places that we do it as developers. And this is why this stuff isn't even scary anymore. For instance, one, we could download an existing model just like you would download something from NPM. You can train your own model just like you would write your own code. And this is honestly what they teach a lot in academia. And then lastly, you can actually modify an existing model just like you would modify some code. This is like the Stack Overflow solution, where something's really close to what it is that you want, but it doesn't do it exactly. So you just modify a little bit, and that's called transfer learning. This kind of aspect of it is like it's not alien to us as web developers. We can actually implement these different methodologies, but we don't right now because the AI world is somewhat confusing and distanced and odd. So one of the things that I'll say is that people tend to lean on these online services where you can say, all right, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, here's a photo, tell me what the hell's going on in there, and then it tells you what the hell's going on in there. The issue I have with this is that we are limited by having to be connected. The round trip to the server is very slow. It's kind of it's not offline friendly, and we have this kind of like difficulty. Is like, is it telling us what we even care about? And then finally, of course, like you know, be careful with how many microservices you start using before you're not actually building the thing you thought you were building anymore. And the one kind of language that can kind of go everywhere, especially to edge devices like browsers, like we did earlier, or to go ahead and jump in and be offline, is JavaScript. That's why I want to use a lot more JavaScript and stuff. The JavaScript community actually does a great job of building and creating interesting and cool little tidbits of things, and they're visual and they're useful and they're pragmatic. So you might say, well, Gant, we would use JavaScript if it wasn't such a toy language. And the truth is, it's not. JavaScript has access to the GPU, so we can access and infer information very quickly. And so there's plenty of really cool options that we can use today, like TensorFlow.js, which I mentioned earlier, Brain, which also has access to GPU.js, and then, of course, like I like to say, React Native, which can tie directly down into native and use the optimization for any particular platform. So you can use Core ML or you could use TF Lite, depending on what kind of device that you have. So to prove this, I've actually written a couple of mobile apps in JavaScript to kind of prove that. This first one is actually identifying what's in an image. So if you click on that coffee, it thinks it's espresso. And then I didn't have it trained on tacos. So when you click on that, it believes it's a pencil box, but the confidence is nice and low on that. So you've got this actually this JavaScript code that goes down to TensorFlow Lite on the device. So that way I can write JavaScript and then I can actually ask it what is in this image and it can push that down to the accelerated hardware on that device. Or I could stay inside JavaScript altogether. This is a classic problem. What number did I just write? And it's called the MNIST problem or MNIST data set. It's usually used for this. But that's sort of generalized to MNIST in general. And so this is written in Brain.js, 100% JavaScript. This could have been a website. It also made it a mobile app. It's just JavaScript. It's really easy. And then as you're drawing in here, it's identifying what numbers are there. Each of these are open source repos that you can use. And then, of course, we have hot dog, not hot dog, or as I like to call it, hot dog, French fries, red velvet cake, all the fun stuff. So, Food 101 data set here is being utilized on Core ML on an iOS device, where in video, it's actually looking around and identifying what are these food items. Really interesting, really cool. And then here we are accelerating directly down to the hardware or staying in JavaScript like we are in Brain. And then we could do cool things with websites, like important websites like nickornot.com, which identifies whether Nicolas Cage is in a photo or not. This is highly critical, of course, because he might steal the Declaration of Independence. And so we can actually put JavaScript on websites and identify whether or not a person is or isn't in a photo. We can even then, if you take that logic and push it just a little bit further, we can actually make Chrome plugins, which is what my friend Chris Beekler said. He said, Gant, I saw nickornot.com. Is there a way that we can build this into a Chrome plugin? And I said, that's a great example for adventures in JavaScript. And so adventures of AI in JavaScript. So he reached out to me and sorry, that's an old photo of me. And he said, can we block pictures of our president? He's like, I still want to stay informed. I just want to go ahead and not see him as much. And that's when we came up with No Trump Social, which turns pictures of Trump into puppies. So you can still stay informed. You can know what's going on in the news. You just are suddenly inundated with a bunch of pictures of puppies in your news feed. And that makes your life just a little bit more tolerable during these difficult times in the US where everybody's yelling at one another. Um, as another part of this adventure, I just want to kind of mention a few other things. I did make this library that's been cited by quite a few PhD students. It is Not Safe for Work.js, which gives you the ability to identify if there is some indecent content in a photo. And I love this one for conferences, small organizations, and small groups, because large companies, well, they have it easy. They could just hire thousands of people to go through content. They can go through your private messages or have specific stuff. So, if you're DMing somebody an indecent photo, they can kind of come in and look at your stuff. And then the other problem is like, they also one person might think something's indecent and another person might not. So what do we do as human beings? Those smaller companies. Like if we did a startup, there's going to be two of us. So what do we do? Well, that's how we can get a free AI. And I think that that's the cool thing is that just have the AI flag some stuff, whether or not it needs to be handled or not. So if you got a DM from someone, it could blur out the image and say, our AI thinks 95% sure that this is an indecent photo. Feel free to go ahead and tap it and unblur this image. But we just wanted to warn you before your eyes were assaulted with whatever was sent. And this has been used by a ton of different people. It's also been turned into a Chrome plugin. This is something we built for the community, and it's been really cool. Not to mention, people love using this as demos and PhD papers and all kinds of other fun stuff. So I have an animated GIF where I drag over images because I'm not brave enough to do this live, and then you can see it actually working. Um, One of the fun things that you'll see about this is I had to actually add images of Jeff Goldblum because it used to always categorize him as pornographic. And so that was a very difficult problem for me. So I had to add extra photos of him, and then fortunately, it categorizes Jeff Goldblum differently now. Um, the world's a little bit sadder because that was a really fun thing. But there's a good thing for you now to know is that both this algorithm and Facebook have had a high amount of false positives on onions. So apparently, there's a lot of really sexy onions running around out there. I could talk way more about the cool stuff for Not Safe for Work. It is still biased, of course, but there's still a lot of PhD papers out there A lot more research to happen, and it's 92% accurate, which is well below what a human being could do. But it is really cool to have some of that automation out there to help out the community, and hopefully that's very helpful. By the way, I could talk about all these things a bit more in Q&A and a bunch of other fun stuff, but let's move along. And then this presentation, we could talk about how does one make a model. We'll kind of skip some of those things. One of the things I'll love to show you really quick is let's get some code running on your machine real quick. So I did make a website called TensorFlow, TickTech, Toe.co, and I just want to show you that for a moment here. And if we go to TensorFlow, TickTech, Toe.co, we have this really uneducated AI. So if I make the AI move, it's going to, oh, that's actually a good move, but actually that's a good move too. Look at this. Is it playing really well? Okay. Um, nope, nope. No, it doesn't know what the hell's going on, of course. So is this going to end up in a tie? It does. Oh, no, no, X1, just on the last move because no one knows what's going on. And then I could train it to play a little bit more like X or train it to play a little bit more like O. And the cool thing is that after about 5 or 6 games of training it really well, I can actually get an unbeatable AI. It's really, really good. So as of right now, it's seen 0 games because I didn't click the train button. But let's say I actually decide to train it on how to play really well. So I do that, and now O has to block, and then well, okay, so I suck at this. I failed here. Hold on a second. So I would do this, and then O has to block, and now X has the win no matter what. So O will go here, and X will go there, and I can say, hey, learn to play a little bit more like X. And then it's actually teaching the AI how to play a little bit better. So that's some really cool stuff that you can do. We could try this out. So you can actually watch a machine learn, and then now when you make the AI move, you can actually watch it actually play a little bit like I just had, and here it is doing a good job. So you can actually watch a video on that and a bunch of other cool things. Let's say you wanted to get a little bit more involved in the code. Well, no problem. We can get involved in the code. We can go to, let me go here, and we have another slide, which is machine learning with RPS, TFJS. So um, tfjs.netlify.com. And then with this website, we can actually run code directly on our machine, and it can walk us through the process of training AI to handle paper, rock, scissors. So when we click these little folks here, it can actually show some of the code that's written to teach the AI and do all that other fun stuff. So it actually learns how to play paper, rock, scissors along the way. I don't have time in a 30-minute presentation to dig into all this fun stuff, but if you ever would like to do like a workshop on any of this fun stuff, or perhaps learn a bit more about JavaScript and AI, I have plenty of resources for you. So let's go ahead and get to wrapping this presentation up and just say that there's so many cool things that we can do. There are a lot of fun and exciting ways that we can actually use AI in our websites. But I need you to go ahead and actually come up with those as well as me so that we can make these cool examples and share them together. Because reimagining everything inspires science. And that quote comes from a bot. So that makes sense as well. I have an online course that I do sell. There's a 20% off coupon for anybody who's ever watched me give a talk. Please don't share that. It is Gant Talk. And you can get that course also at academy.infinite.red. Um, it's a lot of fun. I hope that you actually get to take the course and let me know if you're ever in a situation like you're a student or something like that. We can, of course, do some kind of like significant financial discount for students or people who would like to take the course but are in situations where they can't. I would say that I have a really fun machine learn Twitter account on Instagram and Twitter. The hashtag does really well. I have a newsletter, which is really cool. Definitely check out the newsletter and follow me on Twitter. You'll see plenty more about this newsletter on there. So, thank you very much, Infinite Red, for having always letting me kind of speak at these conferences. And thank you so much, Connect.Tech, for listening to me at these conferences. Like I said, I have plenty of silly stickers and cool stuff. And I did say I was going to give something away. So let's go ahead and do that giveaway right now. So one of the things that I was mentioning is a lot of people really like our swag and especially like the not safe for work shirt. So if you go to store.infinite.red and you scroll to our not safe for work JS shirt, which has this really cool glitter pattern on it as well. And if you want to go ahead and get this shirt for free, be sure to enter in this code. And I think I've only got this for a couple of you that can actually get this code before it expires. So it is Connect 2020 Tech. So that penmanship's terrible. Connect 2020 Tech. Definitely check that out. And if you put that code in there, you'll go ahead and you'll get the Not Safe for Work shirt sent to you for free. So that should be a pretty cool bonus for some of you. And like I said, we give away stuff all the time. Um, Lots of cool AI stuff, stickers, and neat stuff like that. So definitely subscribe to AIFYI.com, me on Twitter, and Fun Machine Learn on Twitter. And with that, I feel like a sad that I'm rushed, but happy to go ahead and have had a chance to talk to you all with all the adventures and the fun stuff that we just did in JavaScript and machine learning. Until next time, I'm Gant Laborde. Follow me on these, or go ahead and bring us some cool AI business with infinite.red, and I will see you in person next time we can actually see each other in person. I miss you all. Thank you for having a virtual conference and for having me speak. See you then.